Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela. Well, it's been an interesting week on the UFO front, or the alien front, I should say. Lots of just weird stuff to start off the year. We've had aliens in Miami, maybe. We've had weird tunnels under the New York synagogue. Can't find any reliable information on that. There's like 100 different stories about why there's a tunnel under a synagogue, a Hasidic synagogue in New York. And some places called it a network of tunnels. And then another place said, oh, it's just one tunnel to get there because of COVID, not because of COVID. I don't know. It's just been a weird week. I got a lot of questions and no real answers on that. Any of that stuff. Okay, what is that thing on the, let's see. There we go. This is the beast that is on the thumbnail. And it is indeed a hyena. I don't think I used this exact one, actually. Did I? I used a different one. This one's also an interesting one. Image. I probably could have used this one. Ran into this on Reddit. Probably should have used this one. Let's see, there's another. Okay, so yes, it is a type of hyena called a brown hyena. Okay, so what's interesting, it looks like a bat face. I remember there only being one hyena originally. There's that spotted hyena, but there are now 4 of them, and the other 3 are quite interesting looking. This is the brown hyena. Look at those ears. So, like, a large number of the photos make it look like it has almost no center of the body. Indeed, it is kind of a short-bodied thing, but I feel like maybe with so many of the photos making it look even shorter-bodied by having a slight side angle, this thing is probably going to get a shorter and shorter body over time. Oh, look at what the hell is that back there? Is that supposed to be a... Is that another one of them? I don't even know what that one is back there. All right. Coloration is quite striking. Yeah, so they have stripy legs. Then this big, weird bat-faced head. And then this weird short body. Pretty bizarre. Let's see. That's you guys. Well, yeah, I guess I didn't really. So, I think I have accidentally closed a window I meant to have open, which is this one. Wait, Hyena's Wiki, that's the one I want. Okay, so I kind of looked through. There's nothing really super weird about the brown one, other than it just looks weird. But over here it shows. So I remember this one originally, this spotted hyena, as the original beast that existed. All right, so that's the one I remember originally existing. I think it has undergone a few slight morphology changes, but overall it still looks similar to the original. Then we got this thing, which is the aardwolf. Now, I do remember covering aardwolf on here. Maybe I didn't quite get that it was one of the 4 hyena species currently. And it is bizarre looking. I don't remember when I did aardwolf it looking that weird. And I think that was some time ago that I did aardwolf. But I don't remember all these ridiculous stripes all over it. So that's one thing. All right, so they're here. All of these are in different parts of Africa. Oh, this is interesting. So aardwolf has prominent papilla or papillae on that. Look at that bumpy tongue! That's pretty interesting. It doesn't even look real. Okay, so there's something about the aardwolf. It has a bumpy tongue. I do think all the creatures are getting a more bumpy tongue. All right, so this is aardwolf. They have this super fluffy tail, too, that I don't recall seeing last time. All right, now, I don't know what those are. Okay, so I don't think that's all the same one. So there's Aardwolf. Then there's Striped, as if the Aardwolf wasn't stripy enough. So again, it's got this, you know, I think this is an angled body, but like, why do we keep seeing so many pictures that they're all angled weird and they look like they have no center? So it kind of seems to me like the center of the body is sneaking. There's the space, the territory of it. This is the striped one. So you can see from the side view, the body doesn't look nearly so tight, but yet so many of the photos make them look like that. And it's like, why? Does it like hunch up while it's like standing all the time or something? I mean, like, why? Why don't we get side views, proper side views of this thing? All right, and one more is brown, which I just covered. Okay. Brown hyena. That one just, it looks like, it reminds me of those carrion eating birds that would have like no feather or furs on the head so that they could just stay clean, I guess. I don't really need to see that one. Was that a baby one? They're cute. Somewhere one of these, there was a baby one, and I ran into it. It was super cute. Oh my gosh. So yeah, what did I think about the virtual video of the 10-foot tall alien Miami Mall thing? Yeah, that whole thing was weird. I mean, I agree, like 60 cop cars, 100, you know, I guess the final count was they sent 60 cop cars there. I think I talked about this last week, didn't I? Rumor has it that they shut down the airspace, like the airport was shut down, and that they put all radio communication in some kind of private mode or something, so no one could listen. It seems like, and then they claimed it was because some kids were fighting with sticks. I'm like, fights break out all the time at malls and stuff, and we've never had that kind of police response for any of them. So that seems ridiculous. Yet if there were aliens, you'd think we'd have more video, but then they're saying, well, the aliens were in some kind of weird half-masked, like hidden mode, or they were interdimensional or something. And then I'm like, well, yeah, if there was kids fighting, we should have video of that too. I mean, there's malls video, and there's going to be cell phone video. Like, I would actually expect video for sure from kids fighting, because the first thing that all the kids do is whip out their phones and take images of fighting. If an actual alien, an actual interdimensional alien showed up in the mall, I actually could see people like just being shocked and running and maybe neglecting to take video. I could see that, because that's something that is so shocking that you may forget. Then there's rumors that the police were confiscating any video, but then I don't know. I mean, like, of course it sounds so ridiculous. And then there's people who say this is a psyop, and they're trying to distract with the alien stuff. And indeed, we have all these weird, all of this stuff going on with the Congress investigating the aliens. So I think we're definitely going into an alien zone here with whatever you want to say it is. I mean, is this disclosure or a psyop? Or is it just... depends on the timeline, you know, but it does feel like this is like the seeds of the alien narrative being sprouted here. I don't think I'll really trust that it's actual aliens unless I met them myself, maybe. I mean, you know, I'm like trying to think what would really make me trust anybody, because I don't really trust the news. I don't trust the government. They have projection technology that can make something look 3D. So they could have been these could be just projections. So like they could, it could just be a hologram, right? I mean, so say the government wanted to spread the rumors that there was aliens, they could just do a hologram. We have the tech for a hologram. We don't need smoke anymore. They can project a hologram that looks like aliens coming out of a portal. And all those people that are claiming they saw it, they could be telling the truth, but it could still yet be fake. It could just be holograms. So that's why it's so tricky. I don't know what to think about it. So say that they did a little thing where they made a hologram that looked like aliens, and then people called in, the police said they saw aliens. Yeah, they would probably send 60 cop cars out if there was a bunch of, if there's reports of 10-foot tall aliens. I would imagine that. And then they feel like idiots, so they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I somehow my money landed on either. My money kind of lands on holograms. I don't know. I'm not sure though. None of it really seems all that likely, frankly. Like none of it. So I don't know what to think about it. It's another New Year wacko stuff. I think that's really what it is. No matter what storyline I land on, I'm not happy with that narrative. I just can't find a narrative that I can feel even comfortable with. 60 cop cars for kids fighting with sticks, but no videos of kids fighting with sticks. Every other time there's a bunch of kids fighting, we always get video. Anybody else effing bone sore? So, like, literally half the planet's gotten the flu, the COVID, whatever it was. It definitely wasn't the worst flu I've ever had, but flus do suck, and it has been some years since I've had a flu. More than, like, a slight tickle in the back of the throat. So I don't know what to think about that. I actually didn't feel that achy for that flu. I don't think I felt achy at all, actually. You know what I was thinking about? What happened before the flu? I did have like maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I just kind of felt like breathing was hard. And I was actually starting to get worried. Like I was just kind of breathless. I'm like, maybe I have a heart problem. I do have cancer. I don't know. Like I was just getting a little worried. Like it just seems like I would be out of breath too fast. And then I got the flu and it was a little worse. And then I took some medication to kind of control all of that because I can just take those bronchates and that fixes it. And that was another thing. I'm like, well, if I'm like have a heart problem, then bronchate shouldn't fix it, right? That's like a lung problem, if a lung inflammation problem. So I was like, what's going on? Then I got the flu. Once I recovered from the flu, all of that went away. Like my breath is back to normal and everything. So I kind of wonder, I'm like, well, what was going on for those few weeks? I felt normal except for that though. So that whole thing was weird, and it makes me wonder if it was some kind of shifty thing. It does seem like breath issues are kind of common during the shifts because I don't know if literally the atmosphere changes and you're adapting to it or some energy thing. But I'm totally throwing stuff at the wall here, but I have noticed that. So that has been my thing. I don't think I would say I was bone sore, but I have definitely felt that with past shifts. So maybe I'm at the I can't breathe phenomena that started in 2020. The thing is, when I had the flu itself, I had the breathing under control. It wasn't like real bad or anything. So I don't know. I don't know. Things make less and less sense. I'm trying to make logical sense of stuff. I just can't. I can't do it. Oh, Sweetheart 11 said hologram too. I hadn't even read that. Yeah, I've definitely been saying I've been wondering if it's a hologram. But then if it's a hologram, I really feel like we should have better video, so I don't know. The aliens have so much tech. I do think there's interdimensional aliens. I think it's likely. I think, even when you sleep sometimes, don't you just talk to, things, some kind of creatures sometimes, and then you go, oh, maybe it was all a dream, but they felt like really they were sentient, different personality creatures out there. People in Las Vegas, Peru, now Miami. So yeah, they were 10 foot tall. What else was about it? What was it besides they were 10 foot tall and humanoid? I don't really know what else they were saying about it. I've heard different things on the Miami one. So they were kind of dark and kind of indistinct shaped 10-foot tall dudes. I guess that's what we're getting then. Either they're real or they're fake, but that seems to maybe be where we've landed. You know, another thing that's been very interesting, I think I mentioned this last week, is there's been so much talk of giants lately, too. Like in Tartaria and all that. And it's like, you know, if I thought this was a giant psyop, would they have even thought to go all the way over to some Tartaria thing? Because the Tartaria thing are ancient giants. Like, they're long ago there were giants on the earth. Nephilim and stuff. So they're not saying it's now. But yet, at the same time, there's been all this talk, and it's just like, you see it all over the place. Just all over the place. Like, where I was looking for a gift, and I was like, okay, I'm going to look for a cat t-shirt. I pull up a cat t-shirt. It's a cat a cat and UFOs. So I'm like, a cat and UFOs? You know, you can't escape it. The aliens that have so much tech to come this far are able to do anything they want, including invasion. I'm not really worried that we're going to get invaded by aliens, like, in the, like, slavery sense. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go. I think that we have control here. Mentally, this is our realm. Why would they want to play hide and seek? Well, there's like 100 different reasons. I mean, it could be that they just figured out how to get in here and they just popped up somewhere and they aren't totally in here and then they pop back. Like, they don't have control, they don't have the tuning. Then they didn't really play hide and seek, right? Because they just showed up at the mall, so that's not really hide and seek. That's really like, here I am, ta-da! So, I don't know. I mean, maybe the veil is thinning. We definitely, I feel like, you know, the one thing I saw on Retcon today that really got my attention was just another person on Retcon saying the brain fog and the days are so fast and it's just getting worse and worse. And I get it. You know, I think last week I was thinking that. I'm like, my God, that brain fog. But then again, now it's cleared. And, you know, I feel pretty good this last few days again. So I don't know, like, I feel like I'm getting it sorted, my brain fog's gone, then again it comes back, and then it goes. And it's like, is that a shift? Is it what? I don't know. Aliens at the mall sound so stupid. I know, but the whole reality is stupid now. I mean, like, everything is stupid, so there was, like, somehow we got in a discussion on Redcon. It was a really old thread that someone comment. You know, when somebody goes back and comments on the thread from like years ago, and the thread was about when, if you remember back, it was a while ago, before the pandemic. Like, when is that? Like 2017 or something? When there was that weird thing where the clowns were showing up in the forests and scaring people, and we're like, what's up with clowns? You know, clowns of all things. But then, you know, fast forward a couple years and everybody's talking about Clown World. I'm like, was that it? Was that like the marking the beginning of Clown World, as literally clowns showing up in the forest? I mean, I don't know, but it definitely did seem to mark the beginning of Clown World. Store cameras would have had some. They would have if they're allowed to show them. I mean, if the government nabs that, you know. And see, the thing is, if it was kids fighting, I think that wouldn't get nabbed, because every other time kids were fighting, we then later saw store video of the kids fighting, right? So now we don't. None of the kids took any video. The store cameras don't have the video. So what was it? You know, was it just a total false alarm and it was neither aliens nor kids fighting and they don't want to admit that they sent 60 cop cars for some dumb reason? I don't know. There, you do have to consider there's the embarrassment factor, though. Maybe somewhere one kid had a stick and they're like, oh, just say it was that. Yeah, Shari, you told me about that. The other, you had the flu, and then you had hallucination, high fever over 40. I'm not sure what 40 is in Fahrenheit. Yeah, it sucks. And so there's been a number of people said their brain was just, I'm just wondering how much is just shift. Yeah, 1+1 = 3. I know all the time on the news too. It's like, come on, people. Do you expect me to believe that on the news? I have my doubts about anything that wasn't captured on camera. Yeah, so one of the guys claimed that the police were like confiscating cell video, like asking if you had it, and if you did, they took it. But there should be people complaining about their cell phone being taken. I don't know, Nothing really makes sense. Why send 60 cars if nothing happened? Yet we don't have video of anything happen. We have 2 versions of things that happen, but hardly. They do have some weird shadowy video they're claiming is the aliens, though. If they were cloaked, like in some kind of barely here form, that could explain it. Like they didn't show up good. I've complained about this before, that I would see like a beautiful sunset, and I'd get my phone out and try to take a photo, and for years it wouldn't work. Like it just wouldn't show the red, and I'm like, well, why can't the phone see what my eyes see at least somewhat, and it wouldn't. And then one time I tried, and it's my same phone that I've had this whole time, I tried taking a photo of a beautiful red sky, and it showed, like the whole thing showed. And from then on it has showed. So I'm like, there's an upgrade to my camera, Mandela style, or was that not in reality enough for others from my camera to see it? Either way, it really makes no sense that at some point suddenly my phone could see the beautiful red sunset skies. So I was talking to somebody else recently about that she had gone up north and towards far enough over that you could see the aurora borealis. And she was saying that ordinary phones didn't catch the aurora very well. And it's weird, though. Like, you'd have to sit there and let it kind of expose for a while or something. You couldn't just, like, take video of it off your phone. I'm like, if it's that bright that your eyes can see it fairly easily, why can't your phone get it? It's kind of back to that same story. And I've never really gotten a good explanation why. I mean, I could see maybe the color's a bit off. It's not 100% of the right tones, but yet it gets like nothing. There's something all weird about that. COVID is long-term slow killers like smoking, repeat spike exposure the problem. I'm not buying that narrative. I think COVID, there's a lot of shifting going on. There's a lot of side effects. We saw this before 2020. This is not a bunch of new stuff. It's just ramped up. But I think COVID is being like, people feel weird, crappy, achy, icky. And so COVID is the obvious thing for a lot of people to blame it on. The people who don't want to believe in the COVID narrative, they're going to go, oh, it's the vaccinations did it to you. Because most people have had at least one of those. So I am really not totally sold from a more like spiritual, high level perspective that it is really either exactly, but that's the narrative that we're using. That's my personal opinion on that. I mean, I'm not running out and getting the arm pokes anyways, but the interesting part is this: no doctor that I contacted and visited said anything about possibility of it being COVID. That is weird. So, when I had mine, I did have one of them cheesy free test kits that the government sent out years ago, and I did try it, and it did say mine was COVID. Now again, I wasn't that very sick, so I don't know. It to me, it was just another flu. There was nothing special about it. The other thing that was weird, that this was different than other flus. I actually could taste way better during COVID than normal. Like, everything tasted really good. Like I could smell everything. That's not always good, but like when people are cooking, I was like, oh, nectar of the gods. So that's like completely weird for a flu. Big shoes for 10-foot giants. Yeah, they were, what's that Big and Tall store? I think I forgot the name of it. They were shopping at the Big and Tall store. Yeah. There have been talks about sleeping giants in Florida for some time. I don't know what's that, sleeping giants in Florida. I'm not familiar with that particular term. The days are way too fast. I do feel like I lost more time lately, even. It's kind of like being on a treadmill, you know? It's like I used to have more time to do stuff. And I used to feel like I goofed off a lot of the day. Like, I'd be, like, surfing the internet and screwing around. And like, oh, finally, it's, 1 p.m. I better get to work. And then I would work pretty hard until, like, 5 or 6. Then I'd go out and dinner and then come back and do some more work. And then I felt like I got a ton of work done by midnight, even if I did take some time to surf the internet. Now, there's no time for any of that crap. I mean, like, it's like all that free time is gone and I'm getting less work done. I don't, there's just no more time. The days are so fast. Have you looked at Wi-Fi Wiggle Map? No. So we got what? Florida Sleeping Giants and Wi-Fi Wiggle Map. I have no idea what any of that is. You're going to have to enlighten me. Wait, how am I got where it jumped and I have no idea where I was at. I was at Wi-Fi Wiggle Map. Yeah. I posted a short with it and showing the levels of microwave radiation. Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm going to look at it. So check where, WIGLE. Different wireless hotspots around. So what, there's more hotspots, that's going to be more Wi-Fi. Is that the basic storyline here? Okay, so we would go down to my area. Oh, look at that. So San Diego has the most, what is it, density. That's interesting. Okay, so density, yellow is the worst, red is the second worst, and then purple is the least worst, and then nothing is the best. So, yeah, here we are in San Diego. Hypo, wait. That's LA there. Okay, that's LA. Pretty dense. San Diego down here. Okay, so I'm like, what? I'm in purple lands here, I believe. Somehow seeing it all purple makes it hard to figure out where, this, I believe, might be the freeway right here. It probably goes along the freeway. Okay. So, yeah. Trying to figure. So, I think that's the 15 right through here. Okay, so fairly dense. What's in here? The 52. Oh, it's going to be this way then. I'm kind of distracted with that. I'm going to have to play with that later. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I think I'm in, like in here somewhere. Yeah, pretty dense for my area. Oh my gosh. Look at the East Coast. Okay, let the whole thing fill in, but still, look at the East Coast. Wow. That's pretty interesting. Why is the East Coast, like there's a line right here, and everything on the East is way worse? What's it about right here? I mean, I would have thought like California, isn't California like one of the highest populations? Now I could see New York and them being real packed, but dang. So East Coast is way worse than West Coast then. Yeah. Oh my gosh, look at that. All right, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to have to put that to the side for later. Let's put this one here. They're trying anything to keep people in the stress and angst. Yeah, so the concept of the loosh is that basically there are dark entities that feed upon our suffering. Kind of wonder if the dark entities feed on our suffering, are there like light energies that feed on our happiness? I'll pick the happiness, thanks. I definitely do think that whatever you want to narrative it, trying to keep more positive and happy is the best route. So that's the wiggle map is Wi-Fi. Block all networks. And it's supposed to be to help you find Wi-Fi hookups, but there's cameras everywhere, so when there's only like 2 videos of something, it's automatically set. Agreed. And I feel like if stuff came out like way later, I feel like I kind of wouldn't really trust that as much either. Like, say next month they finally said, oh, here's released images of the fighting. I kind of will have to wonder if it's faked at that point. Killer clowns from outer space. I know! I'm kind of like, if aliens land, are they going to look like clowns? Are they going to look like red devils with horns? Are they going to look like aliens? Are they going to like look like Lurch from that TV show? Like, I don't know. Maybe we haven't decided yet, and that's why they're all shadowy and dark colored for now. Cops were defending the donut shop. Hey, there's plenty of donuts to go around, okay? You've had a lot of big load shipments to and from the base. Huh? I don't know. I mean, it could be just loading up stuff to send to Israel and Ukraine. I have my doubts of everything that is captured on camera. Good point. Good point. It's so easy to fake stuff now, even video, that you can't really trust that either. So, like, say the event happens and then 5 minutes later, some brat 15-year-old uploads it to the internet, and it doesn't, that seems more realistic to me. But if it's a month later and some big YouTube channel just wants clicks, then it's less trustworthy. The weird thing is this, I was solving puzzles and different, very difficult games in minutes during the hallucination. So that's interesting. I do remember way back I had this nasty, nasty flu and a fever. And, like, you hit this weird altered state. And, like, one of the weird things was that in the dark, everything, I could see octagons. Like, I was looking through this grid work of octagons. It was really pretty, too. And I was like, I don't know, weird stuff. It does make me think that maybe the flus are some kind of shift illness, though. Maybe it's a worse flu when it's a harder shift and you have more stuff you've kind of got to unload. After the flu, I felt like, this happens a lot to me, too. You'll get that day when you, like, actually feel extra good after the flu. Not normal, but like extra good. And it's usually the day right after, like, the flu was pretty nasty and you hit that day where, like, I'm definitely on the mend, and I'll feel weirdly, and I'm like, well, is it just I'm so happy to not be sick anymore? But I have noticed that over the years. There'll be one day where you just feel refreshed and like, woo. I was speaking in a foreign language. Oh, interesting. I checked some words when I got better and had real meaning. Interesting. I don't think anything would really totally surprise me anymore. Did you learn anything important during that time? Because if you were speaking a foreign language and doing math, I hope you asked, like, the answers to the hardest questions of the universe while you were in there. All right, I'll give it to you since there's not, let me see. There. All right, so you have standard moderator job. Shara, you already have that, right? Yeah. Pretty sure. Yes. You already have that job. For a while, Secure Team 10 was doing infrared cameras, but now he's just fallen off. No vids. Yeah, I don't know. That was weird because Secure Team was so popular for many years, and then he just disappeared, and I think everybody thought he was, like, gone forever. Then he came back and said he almost died and he was sick, and then he jumped back in it, but now nothing again. So I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't making the money as he did before. That's just like how about phone or even digital camera takes baby picture of moon. It looks like a pinhole. I'm not sure what that means. Taylor has changed so much. He's a very weird person now. I mean, the guy from Secure Team 10. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. See, like, I had only just kind of gotten into watching Secure Team 10 before it disappeared, so I hadn't really gotten a feel for it. And then when he came back, he had the same voice, and I didn't really notice anything. But again, I didn't really know him. I mean, I've definitely seen a lot of cases where someone almost dies, and then they come back, and they're like a whole nother person. And like one of my 3 friends, that was the case. He's just not the same person anymore. Now, the first time he almost died, and he came back, and he was the same person, and that was many years ago. And then we hit a reality where he swore he never almost died before. Like, that whole other thing hadn't happened, and he had much milder version of the illness, and suddenly he's like, oh yeah, none of that ever happened. Like, we all agreed on the story for the longest time, and then suddenly, oh, that never happened. He didn't almost die. And right around that time, he stopped going to the gym. So he had started going to the gym after he almost died, and I think it's because he wanted to make sure he stayed fit so he wouldn't almost die again, because it sucked. So then suddenly we hit a reality where he claimed he didn't almost die. He also quit going to the gym, and he'd only been going because he'd almost died. And then right shortly after that, he got leukemia and almost died again. Only from his perspective, it was the first time. For me, it was the second time. So that second time he almost died, he came back a whole nother person. Like, he's just a different dude. And, like, we're not close anymore. Like, it just, like, he's just, I don't know how to say it, but, I mean, I don't think we're really friends anymore, just because he's just not we're not enemies, but we're just not friends. Like, it's weird, because people who know all of our friend groups, like, oh, well, you and him have been friends for, like, literally a couple decades. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, because I don't know what to say, because, you know, we don't really talk anymore, and a lot of it's on his end, and Like, we've been friends for decades, but I'm not really sure I can say we are still friends. So apparently he's done that to a lot of other people too. Like, he just, like, all of his old friends, basically, he just doesn't really talk with us anymore. Yeah, I'm not doing the jab. I don't see. You know what? I either nothing will happen. I don't see anything good coming out of it. Let's just put it that way. The current science does not show that. But I mean, like, of course, I have to say it's safe and effective because YouTube demands that I say this words. But yeah, COVID and the narrows are dead in this part of the world. They're not even suggesting a test. So California has reinstated the mask rule for hospitals. My goal is to never go to one of those, so it won't really affect me. But each gasp is weaker than the year before on the COVID stuff. It's ironic because I think pretty much everybody in the planet has gotten like COVID in the last couple weeks, but it hasn't, it's just been like the flu. So, but still, there's been a lot of people getting the flu. It's been like everybody's gotten the flu. It's sad because Secure Team used to be so good. He was like one of the first years ago on YouTube. Then he just lost interest. Yeah, so, like, the story I got, though, is he disappeared for a long time because he was sick and he almost died. And there was some kind of brain thing or something. I know I saw when he came back, he did a video to that effect. So then he was back for a while, but then last time I went over, which ironically was just a few days ago, I saw that he hadn't posted in a long time. Oh, yeah, let me move to live. Well, let me just finish this and then I'll go to live chat. Taylor got hooked on painkillers they put him on after the wreck. The addiction cost his family. Then he got into cocaine, got arrested, and then fell off back then. He had a medical problem. What, that was that Secure Team guy? Oh, okay. Recently, and then had to have an operation to remove part of his pancreas because it was cancer. Oh, so pancreatic cancer, that they probably caught it early if they even bothered to operate, but that is one that is very hard to really like get rid of. I mean, like, the survival rate is really bad. So that's not a good sign if he had that. So Taylor, that's the dude that from Secure Team 10, right? That's what we're talking about. Oh, okay. Jane Austen or Jane Austen. I remember Jane Austen. There's so many weird spellings now. Okay, nope, that. Oh, wait a minute. I was to say, yes, it says I, but no, it's E over here. Yes, okay. So I click on it and I get the exact thing you'd expect if it was a Mandela, which is the title still says I, but then the book image says E. Okay, yeah, I remember Jane Austen. Jane Austen is sort of everything is weird spelling now, like, I don't know. Like, they used to just be like these standard spellings of names, and that's how 99% of names were spelled in the standard spellings. Like, why misspell a name, So I don't know, maybe these other timelines have all these other spellings, but like, why? Well, they say these aliens are always zooming around Vegas. Maybe they like the energy. I don't know. Did they say there's always aliens zooming around Vegas? I have not heard that one either. We had this, the sleeping giants in Florida. I am 100% went through a reset or upgrade in that high fever time. Yep, I suspect so. I do think there was a pretty hard shift just like around the new year. So I got really sick right before the new year, and I was just about recovered by the 1st. So I think I caught the flu at the Christmas party, basically. If it was even that. But, you know, again, like I got the flu, then Dave got the flu, then Mike got the flu. So it did kind of spread. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe germs are the agent of the shift. So, one thing I was going to say, I have noticed the last week or two, even maybe 3 weeks, I don't, I should check, but it just seems like the way I walk has changed. Like, when I put my foot down, it, like, springs up more. It used to just be kind of let in. Now, I have not exercised more. If anything, I've exercised less because I was really busy working for Christmas, and a lot of the exercise programs shut down between Christmas and New Year's because nobody's going to show. And so there was, like, weeks off of exercise, and it's just like, it's weird. Like, even when my like quadriceps are tired or something, but yet my feet just, like, even when I'm feeling tired, they kind of spring up. Like there's some sort of respring thing going on with, with each day, I can see more and more bifurcation happening here. We are experiencing two Earths very clearly. I've been thinking a lot about that lately, and I can feel myself, flicking back and forth with a really negative attitude, and then everything looks negative, and then I flip to the positive attitude, and I can see all the positive stuff. I feel like I'm getting a lot better staying in the positive, and I've definitely had some, like, dreams and stuff that maybe indicate that I'm shifted over better. So maybe that's part of it, but the symbols to electronics that we use on blueprints and schematics are all the names of demons and sigils. Sigils is how you say it, right? The screens that we all watch everything on are actually black mirrors used for scrying. I don't know. It's like stuff like that. Okay, somebody can say that, but, like, how do you know it's true? It sounds like an interesting narrative, but how do you know it's true? Then you got people saying, well, actually, Lucifer is the good guy and God is the bad guy. I'm like, I don't know. How do you know it's true? I mean, so my feeling is that the only thing you can really trust is, like, you can feel when something is good and kind, and you can feel when it's mean and angry. And you have to go for the feeling, because the words and stuff all can be sneaky or twisted. But does it feel, like, so, like, let's not murder 20,000 people. Like, I've always felt that's the best choice, right? Let's not make an excuse to murder 20,000 people. Let's try to murder as few people as possible or none. So, like, deep inside, these things, and that's the only thing I can really trust. When you meet somebody who's kind, you can feel the kindness. And when you meet someone who's mean, you can feel the meanness. And when words are mean, you can feel the meanness. And when somebody really cares, you can feel that. So, UFO ejects multiple objects filmed in infrared. So where did this come from? This case evidence for TB investigations. The entire case file. So I don't know, like, see, how do you know that this is a legit infrared film, though? You know, that's what always gets me on these things. You got little dots, and then something's moving around. I've seen weird dots in the night sky, and I mean, if anything's easy to fake, this would be. And so it gets more confusing. Yeah, Shari remembers the Jane Austen with the I, like normal spelling. So, you know, it used to be almost everybody's name had a normal, there was one spelling for a name. Like Austen always had it was always Austin. So every now and then there'd be one person with a weird spelling, but that would stick in your head. Oh, that guy's got a weird spelling. And it was rare. But now it's like all of them are switching to those weird spellings, or like a lot of them. The window for jumping to the new Earth is near closing. Yeah, I actually kind of wonder, like, so we all shift to where we are now, and so maybe in this timeline it is near closing because we're, you know, we're mostly through. Maybe in another timeline it won't close for a while, you know, so there's that too. Maybe, you know, maybe there isn't the race you think there is, and you can shift when you can shift. I don't know. That's another thing I've wondered about. Maybe that's why the Bibles and stuff will say that there no time can be set, because it's going to depend on you. How fast can you make the switch over? I mean, I don't know. I could be totally wrong on that. Just something that popped into my head. Li-Fi is 3.5 times faster than the fastest internet for civilians. If you're military, you get a satellite hotspot that gets internet pretty much anywhere. Li-Fi. Really? Now I'm kind of jealous, though. Li-Fi internet. Li-Fi.co. Li-Fi Max compact device offers blazing fast speeds, ultra low latency, and the capacity for multiple users to connect simultaneously, setting a new standard in the realm of internet technology. Oh, how have I not even heard of this thing? Although Li-Fi LEDs would have to be kept on to transmit data, they could be dimmed. Blah. French company tested her Li-Fi in the Paris Air Show. Now they're acting like it's not live yet. So it's light-based networking intended to provide a vendor-neutral standard for the Li-Fi market. Light-based. I wonder if it would emit like less radiation. Able to function in areas otherwise susceptible to EM interference. See, okay, so what? It doesn't create EM interference, so they can use it in aircraft, hospitals, and the military. So they use over visible light, UV, and infrared spectrums. Interesting. Very interesting. All I'm doing is reading your stuff. Joe Blor's clickety clicks here. Let's see what this
Welcome
is.
To the
It's the CIA on time travel and the holographic reality. Okay, well, I can't really like listen to that whole thing because it'll be copyrighted, so we're gonna have to put that into the future. Have you ever taken video of LED lights? Everyone has a different light wave. It does sound like it just popped up. Oh, this Li-Fi thing. Yeah, I think, did I hear something about it last month that somebody was saying in the future they'll probably use light for future networks, like, but they made it sound like it was just theoretical. They didn't make it sound like it was about to go live. Your ban is important. It's hackable and can be. Well, I don't know. I refuse to buy the narrative that they can steal my whatever the hell it is. I think it's important to be careful of what narrative you subscribe to, because I think the narrative you believe in has a lot of power. And if you have a narrative where they take all your power, then that may make it easier for them to take all your power, if you know what I mean. Now, say I have a narrative that they can't take my power and I'm wrong and they take it. Well, they were going to take it anyway, despite my narrative. So there seems like there's no real downside to believing that they can't take my power, because if I make my own reality, then this narrative is good for me. If I don't make my own reality, then it really doesn't matter which narrative I pick. So there's no downside to having a positive narrative where I make my own reality and they can't steal my whatever. Oh, more bad stuff in the in the Old Testament. Yeah, I wouldn't be really surprised. Define your reality. It does not define you. Just be real careful of what narrative you subscribe to, is all I'm saying. Because, like, there's a lot of dark narratives right now, like New World Order is going to enslave humanity and blah, 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 blah. And keep in mind that there was a lot of that kicked in 2020, and it didn't happen. So it seems like that's kind of the thing. Like, we're always going to be on the verge of enslavement now, has been the latest thing. I choose to believe that we are not, but if it's just stuff we've been hearing for the last 30, 40 years. Any minute now, this horrible thing's going to happen. Well, that's another log on the fire of another horrible thing. Log is now the New World Order and all that stuff. 1978, San Francisco, 12-year-old seen a dark gray, blackish octagon. I don't like this ET stuff showing up in everything now. All the old paintings. Russians are bringing a new Wikipedia that is more accurate. Ah, that should be interesting. Then we can look at the two and see how they differ. I like to see different sides of things. I mean, I can't really imagine the Russian wiki is going to be different on that many things, though. I mean, like, say, okay, I'm sure they're going to disagree on Russian history and current politics and, the history of Lenin and stuff. Okay, but, like, say I look up, like, hyena species. I mean, is it really going to be, is the Russian version going to be different? You look different from the last time I watched you. Did you get new hair? I did get a new hairstyle. I let the front grow out and the back is short. Also, I have a different, what was it, like a month or two ago, I got a different webcam. And the webcam, it didn't say it has a filter, but it seems like it has like a built-in filter, because it does kind of get rid of some of my wrinkles and stuff, so I do look better. I also do feel better, but I think a lot of it is that webcam. Definitely feel better or look better with this webcam. For sure. We are all light. I don't know. Humans are electric. We're light. I don't know what we are. I mean, all of those physics things, even themselves, physics has changed. So, all right. So where are we? We got. I'm gonna have to look on. See, I got a whole bunch of stuff to look up now. Let's see. So you're here. We're here. UFO eject stuff. I'll put that one back over there too. All right, so that's the little hyena dude that I was looking up. Got him. This one was interesting. So I've talked about the cassowaries looking very like colorful now, and the head thing is a lot bigger. Apparently now there's all these video of them making weird sounds that have showed up like today. So I bet you never heard of any. I kind of remember a kind of a regular bird, kind of a high-pitched squeaky chirp noise as being what they make, but now apparently they make this. Let me just make sure that I have it set. I believe I have it set so you can do audio. Okay, so here is the sound that these cassowaries make now. And just look at that bright, you know what? I don't think I remember when that bright red neck showed up with orange. Last I checked, wasn't it just blue? Look at that. I think that also is new, suddenly. So I do remember a couple little dingles here, but not like a... It looks like someone painted this thing. Alright, so apparently these things attack everything in sight, too, so... Be careful! There was one other one, is it this one? This one, which is even more deep. So, yeah, that's what they sound like now. Which is pretty ridiculous. I'm assuming you could hear that. Brian Scott interviewed Cynthia Sue Larson. They call it Ruviki, and I think this is it. Okay, let's check out the... Is it going to have an English version, hopefully? Kind of a problem here. Since we don't speak the Russian. Do we have a... No. Yeah, that's kind of a problem if they don't have translation. I guess I could slam it through Google Translate. Just for funsies. Alright, Google Translate. Now, I'm pretty sure if I stick this into here... No, I thought if I... Wait. How come that... It should... Oh, because it's not English characters. See, the URL is not even in English characters. Okay, let's try if I just do this without that yammer on there. Roo, wiki, roo. Alright. See, these... I think these characters that are in... that are non-English are jamming up the Google Translate. Like, it doesn't understand... And it doesn't appear that there is a Roo wiki. Alright, let's try this. Alright, I think that worked. So this is the Google Translate of the Roo wiki - Roo. Place in the sea in Krasnov's and stuff. Found, identify the protection operation. Then the weapon was launched into the DC television studio. Alright, that's not the world's best translation. Professional workers. Russian tennis player. Andrei Rublev was awarded 15-year-old tennis player. These translations could be better. All right, now what if I translate Ukraine? Let's just go and see what they say about Ukraine. I'm assuming this is the search engine here. Now, Google did not follow it. Nope. Yeah, so I don't know. Unless they have some kind of English, I don't know how to do it. We've got cassowary done. The Australian Emu Wars. I know. When did we first hear about the Emu Wars? I think it was like a year ago. The Great Emu Wars. So, like, every time the government has a war on something, you get more of it. Did you end up with way more emus? Because once the government fights it, it means you're getting more. War on drugs, got more war. What did the war on? What else did we have wars on? Terrorism, got more terrorism. Yeah, Yandex. So Wiki, like, that's a copy of Wiki, so it would be more like a dictionary encyclopedia. And then Yandex is a pretty good search engine. And it has an English version. Yandex does. Creature from another timeline. Yeah, this timeline. Yeah. I actually don't think I've ever seen where I went to the URL and they weren't using English characters. Like, usually even if it's like in France or something, it has English characters for the URL. So it seems to be gumming up Google Translate. My computer gives me the option for translating. No idea why yours is not. Huh. Maybe they don't like America. For some strange reason. Yeah, it sounds like some kind of... What does it sound like? It kind of sounds like a bear, that... That Jewish sect in those videos actually disavows the existence of Zionism. So they disavow Zionism. Zionism is the belief that Israel should have been placed there where Palestine used to be. It's not anti-Semitic in that you're not disliking Jews in particular, just, what was done with that chunk of land. Now, there is definitely an attempt to conflate the two, but you can believe that the creation of Israel was a bad ideal, but still not have anything against Jews in particular. And indeed, some Jews do not believe that Israel should exist, although they still like themselves and their Jewishness. Because Jewishness is a religion, it's not a location called Israel. So Hasidic Jews, they do not believe in Zionism, because I actually haven't really specifically looked that up. Haredim, let's see. Oh, interesting. Hasidic Jews have been strongly opposed to Zionism since its inception, and many groups remain resistant. So yes, it is correct. There are many sects within there, and I would have to check that exact one with the tunnels. Seems like there was some kind of... See, that was another thing. Apparently there was a fight between, like, two rival groups within that group for the possession of that property. I can't help but notice that there's just so much tunnel stuff now. All these underground... there's like ancient pyramids and things that were buried, and they're claiming, oh, the ancient people buried their own stuff to hide it. I'm like, really? Like, if you're getting invaded by another group, you're gonna go, wait, let's spend like a month burying all of our stuff? It just doesn't seem like really all that likely. So it does kind of help new stuff show up by having this excuse that it was buried. So that's interesting. Then we're finding all these underground, ancient, always been there tunnel networks. Now we got the whole like massive tunnel network. I have not really, when I think about Gaza, I've really only started hearing about tunnels like a year ago. Like even a few months before the attacks, there's some tunnels, right? But I had never heard of it before. And now it's like the greatest story never told until just now, that they like have this kind of indestructible tunnel network. Like they're like the world's best burrowing giant human like gophers that can just dig under there and you can't get rid of them. So the whole storyline is sort of showed up out of nowhere for me. Now we got this Jewish sect with a bunch of tunnels underneath the building. I've heard so many stories. Like one of the stories was that the tunnels went under other houses and people heard like weird noises underneath their houses and complained. And then another story is they were going to do some maintenance work and they found the tunnels. And then this is for the New York Hasidic Jew ones too. So now I see this on my computer. Let's see. Okay. Ruviki is currently in beta version to come in. New Year's competition. Arm Clash. See, it's decent English, too. It's not badly translated Google English. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe they're not going to provide their wiki services to the heathens in America. Biden probably said in many interviews that he is Zionist. So it's been like basically American tradition to be Zionist. And I have to be the first to admit that I hadn't really deeply studied the issue until recently. So, and I don't even get exactly why the right and like the Christians are so like friends with the Jewish Zionists, because I mean, like, didn't their people kill the Christian Jesus? You'd think they'd be like enemies. I don't really understand any of it, frankly. A lot of it just defies logic. But there was a guy living in New York. He kept telling people someone is digging a tunnel under the building. Then he kept hearing Jewish voices coming from there. That would be weird. Then they told him, you're crazy. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even read that yet. They told him he is insane and he had to see a psychologist. The guy took this on X and told people, you see, I was not hallucinating. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard so many different things. So, like, I did see video where they were taking stuff out of the tunnel and there was like a baby carriage and stuff. And I'm like, well, you know, maybe people just brought their kids under there. And I kind of see it in a way. All right. There's two things that when I heard about that tunnel. First of all, it would be like pretty fun to have a whole bunch of tunnels and you can just go down there and be like, just do whatever you want, like play ping pong, kick the soccer ball, make a big bunch of noise, although I guess that backfired. Have your parties. I don't know. It would just be cool. Okay. So I could kind of see, but then on the other hand, like how much work and like how did they get the dirt out of there and build those things? And like, how did they know it's not going to collapse? And like, you know, like that's the thing I'd be like, how are you gonna do that? You know, I mean, like, did they ask the Palestinians for advice? I don't know, but it just, that one's where it gets kind of crazy. And then if you're in like New York, you're gonna get caught, you know. So there's that. I'm like, but my main thing is like, where did they get rid of all the dirt and stuff? I mean, like, and the amount of labor, like, what kind of machines did they do? How do you do that? I mean, you're just slaving away days after days. I mean, it would be incredible amounts of work for the payback. You know, it just seems ridiculously tons of work. So I do think, if I understand that Hasidic Jews don't have normal jobs, they're supported by the rest of the society, right? Their job is to study for most of the day their religion, and just do religious stuff for most of the day. And my understanding is it's fairly strict. Like, you wake up early. I mean, you're not going to be a lazy slob, okay? You wake up early, then you don't have like fancy quarters, and then you know, cook, and then you immediately go and study hall and all this. There's not like a bunch of partying and stuff, but there are tons of old tunnels under New York. So, like, those stories just keep popping up. Like, every year there's, like, more and more tunnels under everywhere. Supposedly are different types of gigantic machines. I think the dirt is vaporized. I mean, like, vitrified. So vitrified is like glassed over. It's not actually like gotten rid of. And vaporized, if they vaporize it, then you'd be inhaling the vapor. That would be bad. Anyone notice the lack of stars? I don't know. That's been for years for me that there hasn't been many stars. Like, you can't see them anymore. So if they could somehow like compact the soil really tight on the sides, but still, I don't know. I mean, how much soil could you squish into a small spot if you like vitrified it? Soil is, I mean, it's not that airy. It's not like vitrifying foam or something. So I don't know. You know, I have talked about almost no Mandelas tonight. I'm sorry, people. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So we're here. Okay. This one I just saw, and it's basically talking about, see all these like holes and stuff? So there's holes apparently in a lot of the old stonework now. And I've never seen that before, all these pokey holes. And one story is that they were used to adhere like a cover over like a gold plates or some nice finish or something. That's one story. I think it's weird though, because like the holes are just like all over the place. There's one, that one's over here, there's one over. Now this guy's got two, but this got two, but it's way over here. And I don't know, if you were paneling it, wouldn't you poke the holes in some kind of pattern so you wouldn't go insane? There would just be like a big hole here and a little hole there and two there. So this whole thing is weird to me. Like that's got two holes, but that one does not have a hole over there, and then it's just like, it's totally willy-nilly. So this guy here is thinking it was some kind of cathode anode melting technology or something. So wait, that one didn't have the holes, and then the bumps are everywhere. So indeed I had pointed out the bumps before. I had not seen these ones. Okay, like this one's 10 bajillion holes. The other thing is the holes are usually like either square or hexagons or something. Now, it does kind of make sense if you're poking something in there and you don't want it going like that. But again, it just seems like if these were all plated, it just seems like they would make the holes more like So they're saying though they found these rods in one of the Egyptian pyramids, and he's saying they might be part of the rods that they were using to like he thinks it's some kind of electrical melting. So see some more of like what are these holes for? I don't think they plated the bottom. Well, I guess they could have plated the bottom of the stairs, but and so these pyramidian top caps of the pyramids, which I am tempting to click on, didn't exist in my old timeline, but they've been around for a while. But the main reason I'm clicking on this is just because, like, hello, like, since when is there 10 million holes and everything? We have covered those. Let's see. So that one's covered with holes. I don't even know where that is. I've never seen that one before. Now, these bumps I have covered. There seems to be more of them now. But it's weird. See, that one doesn't have any. Then that one has 2. So he's thinking he's thinking that these were somehow melted and that there was, like, the device, the metal rod that was in it to, like, run the electricity through, which he thinks makes these somewhat liquid. And that when they pull out the rod, bloop, sometimes it leaves this bloop thing here. I still just think that's weird, though, because I just feel like wouldn't they just kind of pad back down the bloop thing? And that one looks like holes. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like these are really marring the outside of this thing. Why would you leave those there? Even if they were from yanking out an electrode, wouldn't you try to push it down? Like, I would be like, I pull out the electrode and I'd have like a little spatula of metal or something, and I go bloop, and I would fix that because that's kind of stupid looking. Okay, so now look at, there's weird bumps here. What the heck is with these? I don't know. There's just, so he does experiments here. And there he's showing the bloops, the bumpy things. This one's got a ton of them. I have not seen this one with the bumps. Millions of holes. There's more holes. So he's going to do like a little tiny sample of what he believes is happening. It's just hard for me to go, okay, well, our modern tech, we can do a piece of rock this big, and that's it. And he doesn't really show it melting. So I don't know what to say on this video, but I am clicking on it because it shows a lot of really good images of the holes and the bumps. Ugh. That cutout in the pyramid that was new for me a few years ago looks bigger than I recall, too. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Wait, I saw another one. Come on. I noticed lately on YouTube, like, whatever this shows here on the hovering, it doesn't always, like, this line here is a little misaligned with... Okay, see, here's these big bumps, too. I don't know what the story is going to end up being with those, but there's something going on with those things. All right, so... Göbekli Tepe, Puma. So, Göbekli Tepe did not exist in my old timeline. That one's pretty new, only a few years. Puma Punka showed up what, like 7 years ago or something? I did have Valley of the Kings for quite some time. Renee Cruz, the devil dog is a brown hyena, just in case you're curious. There's 4 kinds of hyena now, and that's one of them. All right, let's see. I think also we got that. Oh yeah, I was gonna do Reddit. I think I accidentally deleted that one. Hold Reddit. Saved. Okay, let me just go through a few. This one. Now, we had spiders that attack hummingbirds, but apparently now, I'm trying to remember if we did mantises, but mantises now attack hummingbirds. And we have this slow-mo of it. I grabbed it by the beak, man. So this mantis then does eat this hummingbird. I'm not going to like go through the whole grizzly thing, but I feel like if it was me, I would run out there and release the bird. I don't know. I feel like, let go of that bird. Then I'd throw the mantis in the other bush and go, you eat something else. I don't think I could just sit there and let him. I put out a hummingbird feeder. It is not so that some weirdly yellow giant mantis will eat them. But no, in this video, they just let it happen and then they film it. I would not do that. I feel like it's a cheap trick to set those birds up like that and then let them get eaten. Okay, so this little one was interesting. We've seen a lot of this lately, but the new story now is black bears. If they get impregnated, the fetus can just like stop and it'll just sit there and wait until the bear has enough body fat that they can handle the fetus growing. So they called it delayed implantation. Okay, one of the more famous adaptations in the northern forests is the hibernation of black bears. All right, well, basically, they're just saying what I just said. I just have not heard of that particular one, although I'm hearing more and more of that kind of thing. This one has just gone viral this week. So this guy found that something was tidying up in his shed every night. So he put in hidden video and he found this mouse was like straightening out his shed. So the mice takes all his garbage and puts it in this bin. I'm like, just put a bigger bin in there. So the mice just goes along putting stuff in the bin, all this crap. So we've definitely seen that animals are smarter. I have to say, mice used to be some of the dumbest creatures on earth, and I don't know, maybe they still are, but interesting. I had also read another story on this where he claims his neighbor found that mice were the neighbor's shed was also getting cleaned by like a different mouse, the same mouse. I don't know, but it's like suddenly we have there's like a story where the little elves like fix and clean your shed and stuff. Well, I guess the little elves are mice now and they're gonna like clean. But the story that there's not just this one weird mouse, but other weird mice that like clean your shed. Okay, I don't know. Par for the course in the current timeline, I guess. Okay, and we did the cassowary. Oh, this one I was going to look up, and then I never got around to it. Look at those wing spines. How would you like to see that? And look at, even the legs are kind of weird. Like, that doesn't look real. It looks like they're made out of rubber, and like, the guy that made the Muppets made those or something. But, so apparently, spur-winged birds. Spur-winged birds. I was going to look up horned screamers because I didn't know if that was... Hopefully, Wiki will... Okay. Horn. So I guess that is a horn screamer. A horn screamer. Why is it horn? Does it have a horn? Oh, maybe this is a horn, this thing? That's not just a dingle? Dingle dangle, it's a horn? There are 3 screamer species, the other being the southern screamer and the northern screamer. The specific epithet cornuta is Latin for horned. The Germans had used the Latin name for the horn screamer. Small chicken-like bill. There is a long spiny structure projecting forward from the crown. Okay, I kind of missed this, but apparently this is a spine coming out of the head here. Not derived from the feather, but is a cornified structure that is loosely attached to the skull and grows continuously while often breaking at its tip. This gives the species its name. 3 large toes on each leg, belly and underwings coverts are white. It has 2 sharp spurs on its wings and feet, which are only partially webbed. So it has sharp spurs on the wings and feet. I don't see any on the feet here. Maybe there's some hidden in the back. Okay, but those are pretty, that's actually pretty intimidating right there. So what are they going to just go like this and get us? Behavior. I want to know what they're using those spines for. What are they using those spurs on its wings for? I mean, like did they come down and like slam their arms on you or something? Interestingly, they're not talking about any screams coming from these things. The horn screamers, oh, there we go. Very loud and repetitive echoing sound is called El Clon Clon because of this peculiar feature. Must make a sound like El Clon Clon. Anyway, so yeah, weird. Horn screamers. So she's basically saying spur-winged birds in general, plus this bird, which is the horn screamer. She has never heard of, and I agree with you, Better Youth 6193. I have not heard of this thing called the. I've covered that some birds were getting spurs or spines on the wings, but nothing that extreme. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything that was that big a deal. Like, so obvious. So the ones that I first found, there was like a little one like tucked under the feathers, and it's like, oh, well, maybe you just didn't notice it because of the feathers, but now you can't have that excuse. Okay, yeah, that was the only one. I credit everybody who says this is a Mandela. So Better Youth 6193 was on there saying this is a Mandela. That's why I credit them. I don't credit all these people who are just saying, hey, look at this pretty cassowary. Because they're not getting credit for it being a Mandela because they're not saying it's a Mandela. All right, so I think, is that most of what I had? Delayed. Yep, I think that's it. Oh, I have one more. I have 20 minutes, so I have time. Let me just see what you guys are up to. I have not checked it yet, but I've heard some channels talking about tons of old maps released by Russians some time ago. They say Tartaria is on them. So Tartaria is on a ton of old maps, like just old official maps up there around Russia and Mongolia and stuff. So there's no question that there was a place that was referred to as Tartaria. In fact, we talked about it on Retcon some years ago. We're like, what's this thing? Somebody found it on an old map, and we're all mystified because it's a huge region up there, and none of us had ever heard of it. And it was like a few months after that when the whole mud floods Tartaria conspiracy theories kicked in. So it's kind of, I'm sure that to me, Tartaria is totally a Mandela, because we're all talking about it before it was even a big deal. So the story then, official narrative, is that it was Tartaria just kind of stood for like this heathen realms of unknown personages, because we didn't know too much about them, so they just called that Tartaria. But then what's weird though is Tartaria has like its own flag that, this is the flag of Tartaria and stuff. So I'm like, that's just not like, you can't just say that's the barbarian lands, but then say, oh, this is the barbarian land flag and the barbarian land language. And it's like, it sounds more like a country or specific organized region once they have their own flag and stuff. So that's part of the argument on Tartaria, is like, it's more than they said it was. I mean, beyond that, there's a lot more though, but... The little mice from Cinderella. Yeah, get in there and clean up the shed, dude. Birds are getting weirder and weirder with every jump in the timeline. Yup. So, a couple weeks ago, there was a video on Australia of a bird attacked and pecked this woman in the eye, because they have those attacking birds now in Australia, and she got pecked in the eye, and they had it on video. You can see the bee going, yeah. I'm like, maybe it's better I didn't play that one. I can handle a spider, but I don't want to see someone pecked in the eye. I had no idea ghosts can command animals or go into them. I don't even know if they can. Don't ask me. I don't know. I'll tell you, if a hummingbird went after my head, I'm smacking it. Hummingbirds, you better behave yourselves. And the same thing with, I swear, if a bird attacked to try to peck me in my eye, I am smacking it as hard as I can. I don't care what the current timeline says about being nice to the wildlife. Once they try to poke my eye out, that's it. I swear to God, I thought a UFO was crashing on my head. They are loud. Those hummingbird wings are loud. I know, they are. We have a ton of hummingbirds around here, but I've never had any of them attack. But sometimes if you're very still, they will get quite close, and they are very loud. All right, so the last thing I found, this is kind of a weird thing that I saw, and I think it's related. It's related to a rather popular Mandela. So how, in an airplane, you probably heard that the cabin is pressurized. Now, I would not necessarily say this is a Mandela normally, but like, how do they pressurize the cabin? This is not something I ever really checked on. I guess I just assumed that they like forced air into the cabin to make it like have more air, right? Because if you don't pressurize it, then the air is very thin up there, and you don't get a lot of oxygen just because there's less gas in general. At least so goes the official narrative. So how though? How do they pressurize it? Let me see if I can find an image. I probably should have pulled this up in advance, but okay, here. This is a good one. So I saw this article, and they're basically saying that the way they pressurize it is they take some of the air that the jet engines are releasing after they're done, and they force it into the cabin, which is now possible because they're so far forward. Like, I remember them being right under the wings, and the part where the air came out was like behind the wing. So I'm not really sure that it would have been possible to be pressurizing the cabin the way it is now, because the way it is now, with the engines forward, and then they supposedly take some of the air coming out the back of the engine, which is now rather forward on the wing, and they funnel it through the wing into the cabin. And they do that with the both of these. And I guess that's part of why, if the engines fail, they drop oxygen down to you, because there's not going to be any more cabin pressure. I just assumed it was because there was like a hole in the plane, or would soon be a hole in the plane, and they wanted to make sure you still had oxygen. But so yeah, so this air comes from the back of the engine into the cabin, and then if there's too much pressure, it bleeds off out the back. There's like a little pressure valve here that at a certain pressure it lets some out. So your fresh air that you get in the plane is like sucked in from the engines. So I kind of remember this, that you'd get like, they would recirculate the air, and it would be like kind of stale. I mean, I guess I assume that they got new air in occasionally from somewhere, but I don't know. So I don't know how they used to do it, but this is how they're doing it now, and have always. So one of the article things was saying, though, okay, after, see, this is what gets me, all right? Before, you have an engine, and don't you have just a bunch of exhaust and crap coming out of the back of that engine? So I don't think you would get air from there. But apparently now you don't have a bunch of crap coming out of the back of the engine. But they did say that if there's engine problems, that will flood the cabin with smoke. So it's not just the engine out there like smoking and stuff. It can fill up the cabin with smoke. And if there's like a oil leak, a valve problem, anything, then it fills the cabin with that. And then they're saying, well, there's no air quality testing inside the cabin, so you wouldn't even know if there's toxic fumes unless it got like really stinky. You could be breathing all kinds of stuff. So it's like you're basically breathing that leftover engine air. It just doesn't seem very safe. And so there was a whole big article on like, this is not safe and nobody tests and blah, 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 blah. And then the industry's saying, oh, well, those problems are so rare, we don't gotta test. But the whole thing is weird because I think it's heavily related to the Mandela of the engines being so far forward. They used to be under here. This whole thing just looks stupid with them sticking out like that. It should be under here and maybe a little nub sticking out the back. I also feel like the wings are too small in the current era anyways, but so I don't know, you plane aficionados, has that always been how they filled the air cabin, pressurized the air in the cabin, or what? How did they used to do that? And I mean, like, if they still did it that way, then how would you with the back of it sticking out underneath here, like I recall? I mean, they could just get air from, like, they're flying through the air, right? You could just get air from anywhere, but then you would, I guess, would have to have a separate pressurization technique. So I don't know. Hummingbirds sound like 1990s internet modems. I don't know. For me, they're like little, they're like low, they're like little drones or something. It is surprising how, like, they're like giant bees is what they sound like. Oh yeah, that was another weird thing that happened like this last week or so. The Alaska airline lost a door. Like a door just flew off of it, and then it just so happened that I guess we are to believe that nobody was sitting there, so nobody got like sucked out, and then they don't even bother to have doors. So one of the stories was that like when they commission these planes, they also assume that they're going to be able to sell these planes to third world countries when they get older. So they commission the planes and then they fly them until they get a little bit old. Then they sell them. And so other countries want a door there. And so they make out a cutout for a door. But our country doesn't need a door there. So then they just put like a panel on there. And then this will improve the resale value later, though. So that's why they still have the cutout. And then they can put their own door on later. So that's why it's there. But the whole thing was weird. Like, you have this whole panel pop out. Nobody flies out. There's not a ton of vacuum. As there's less vacuum in the current timeline, you don't have to worry about a giant hole in the airplane. I don't know. Then they're like not checking the rest of the panels. Like, it's not a big deal. It just happened the once. We don't have to check. All right, let's see. Shari's got a link.
In the USA, a piece of the plane was torn out during the flight. The Boeing 700...
All right, stop talking. The problem is I don't want to get a copyright, and I might. That's YouTube. No.
In the USA...
Stop. The trouble with these shorts is I don't see any way to just, like, click forward. But, yeah, so apparently there's a giant hole there. They said they recirculate the air. No fresh air. Okay, that makes sense. I kind of remember just like they recirculate the air and it's old stale air. I kind of assume maybe they would like stuff some oxygen into it, but yeah, anyways, that's the deal. I mean, it was pressurized. I do remember that, so somehow they would pressurize it, but you're calling it fresh air, but it comes out the back of an engine. It just seems a little not fresh. Wouldn't that be the exhaust? This design lends credit to the no net fuel conspiracy. Yeah, so like there's a conspiracy theory that planes are not capable of holding enough fuel. So there's a claim about how much fuel an airplane uses as it flies, and that there's not enough room to hold that much fuel in the wings where they claim that they're stored. Plus, the wings are such janky, flappy things, you know, so it's like, could they really hold like a jillion gallons of heavy liquid in them? Is another big question. If they did, then how come when they hit like the World Trade Center, you don't see like liquid splattering everywhere if they have many, 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 many gallons of liquid fuel in there? And but then another story is like, no, because when they say they hold X amount of fuel, they mean by weight, like pounds. They don't mean gallons. And then I've got to really like try to do the math, because the story is that they go by pounds because the gallons is about how much volume they take, and the volume is constantly changing according to how high up off the ground you are. And, well, I don't know. I do like that someone's questioning the logic of reality, though. I don't know if reality is that sloppy yet that we could catch it so easily. Officially, the air is from before fuel is released into the air, so at the tip of the air compressor part of the engine. Okay. Sapia, do you remember how they used to do it, though? Because, you know, it's really popular Mandela that the engines were further back. And the story is, however, still that if there's any oil leaks or anything, it can cause problems. Get the code of the short after and then go to a normal video and replace the code of that video with the code of the short, and the short can be viewed as a normal video. Okay. The code of the short. The code of the short. How do you get the code of the short? Because I don't like here. The code of the see. I don't see the code of the short. Description, captions. Yeah, there's no code of the short.
Piece of the
All right, there is the on-off button. See, there's no timeline, though. That's, like, so irritating. Yeah, I'm almost done. I've got, like, 5 minutes. The code is in the link. Okay. The code is in the link. See, you have to... okay. And that's the link. So the code would be for... blah, blah, blah. Okay. Anyway, well, it's not important enough to do it for the video, but... Darth Vader now says both no, Luke, I am your father. You know, I looked up that last week, and I just heard, Luke, I am your father. I did not hear no. So, unless it changed from last week to this week, that's not what I found. Sapioid says, I remember the cabin was sealed shortly after the takeoff while it was at lower pressure, then on the ground, but still enough pressure for humans to be able to... Oh, okay, that makes sense. If you seal it, then you have the old pressure. Of course, so you wouldn't have to do anything. Oh. Okay, all right, that would be so simple, right? Yes, that would make sense. You wouldn't have to pressurize it. I guess if you entered, yeah. Yeah, I just don't, Yeah, I don't know. I just don't remember anything about that. But, like I said, I probably wouldn't say anything if it wasn't for the fact that this kind of corresponds with the forward engines. I don't know. My brain is like shutting off right now, so I guess it's time for me to go. Like, can't hardly... I've ever noticed that, like, recent months, like, I'll be, like, clacking along at full speed, and then I'll just hit, like, my brain will hit, like, a sand patch or something, a glue patch, and I'll just be like, like, the engines are faltering. Then in like a couple minutes, it'll like kick back in. Oh, here we go again. I can almost feel it like dying. It's just kind of weird. It doesn't feel bad. It's just like suddenly space out. You'll get the bends like a scuba diving. Oh, no, that's not good. Yeah, I never used to get that. I don't know if it's like normal or what, but... All right. I think I've covered everything. Like, I'm still in the fog zone. So. All right. Anyway, thanks everybody for coming. Appreciate it very much. You know the drill. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.